What's going on, boys and girls? Sean here from Hammerhead. Welcome to the Sunday night Spitball. Just grab yourself a beverage or whatnot and come on in. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday, good weekend. Pretty busy weekend here. Generator working on the cycle yet? Yes, Tom. I was able to get that sucker to work, believe it or not. What it was there was a white and red wire that had been cut. I think I showed it in the video. It wasn't attached. It was supposed to go to the power side of the starter relay. So once I wired that together, it started working. So it's charging where it should be now. Only problem is he doesn't want to put any more money into it. He kind of wants to get it on the road, and to get a motorcycle roadworthy here in Nova Scotia, it's quite a task because they've gone from 1 year safety inspections to a 2-year inspection cycle. So they're very picky, and this bike needs tires, it needs fork seals, a little more electrical work. The horn isn't working, a few other odds and ends. No leaks, though. It's not leaking any oil other than the fork oil. So, I mean, it could be done. It's just the guy doesn't want to put any more money into it. I totally understand. I mean, it's a 1981 motorcycle. So, Mr. Will Sanders, how you doing, sir? Hope you had a good weekend, buddy. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Oh, there goes my my fridge. Hold on a second, boys. I've got this fridge, and it's vented inside. It's like it's not vented to the outside. So if someone's cooking, like we had the kids over tonight, we were cooking up, making a lot of steam on the stove. It'll trip the sensor because it thinks it's like carbon monoxide or something. So every once in a while, I have to reset it. No big deal. Onwards and upwards. Hoppy, what's going on, man? Glad to see you here. What's Will saying? Started ripping into the Pontiac. You got it, eh? Right on, man. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. How's it looking? Radiator and fan shroud are out, and the front drive is out, except for the fan, but I might not take that off. Cool. So does the motor turn freely there, Hops? You think, or Will, you think it's not going to be seized or anything, eh? A lot of times you can grab it by the fan, you can tell quick and dirty, but best way is just to take plugs out of it and roll it around, pull the valve covers off. Oh, having my beverage. It's lovely. Finally made it on time, yeah. Yeah, it turned. Okay, right on. Well, you got something to work with now, bud. If it turned, you're golden. You pull the valve covers off, have a look, see what kind of garbage you find in there. If anything, maybe it's a really clean motor. Any idea of the mileage, or is it what's the odometer say on the car? It's not necessarily a for sure, but it's a good place to start trying to figure out if it's got high mileage or low mileage or what the deal is on it. But that's cool. I'm glad to see you got that Pontiac. You're going to love it, Will. I'm telling you right now. Even if you just get the motor and tranny out of it, it'll be a great start, a fantastic start to a project, right? I'm not too worried about it, though. She's going to get bored. Okay, right on. Shit, I didn't even think to look at the mileage. I was just curious. That's one thing I do when I look at it. Because sometimes it's actually right, boys, believe it or not. You get something in there and it's showing like 30,000 miles. Sometimes that's all that's on it. Because I know a lot of rigs were owned by, especially 4-door cars, were owned by a lot of elderly people. And a lot of them don't have a lot of miles on them. No biggie. What's Will saying, or Hoppy saying? See, you got the right Ranger running, crisp. Yeah, I do. I'm going to play you guys a little video video if you want to see it. It's just a little clip of me going to Mexico, quote unquote. You guys want me to cue that up here or what? Cam and then a tunnel ram, some headers. Yeah, man, for sure. There should be some parts available, Will, for that 400. I'm thinking there should be some decent parts around for that. You should be able to get them. Go to Rock Auto, man, just to get about. You can get just about everything there, right? I know that's universal. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in Canada or the US, you can get anything pretty well there. Anyway, let me find this video for the Ranger there, and I'll chooch it up here if I can figure out how to do this again. Share screen. Yes, I'm trying to share my screen. Not sure. What do you want to share? I want to share this. Hang on here. Let me just see if I can play it here. Bear with me, fellas. I don't think you can see it. Entire screen. You can hear it probably, but you can't see it. 1 second here. Yeah. All right, share screen. Oh, maybe I can do it this way. Video file. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting onto it here now, fellas. Just gotta find it again. Terrible. Absolutely terrible at this. Of course, I got things all over the bloody place here. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I sure do hear it. Yeah, the motor sounds pretty sweet. Let me just see if I can actually get what I need to get here, though. Video file. Yes, that's what I'm after. Desktop. It should be there. Video. Maybe it's in here. Everything but what I'm looking for. Let's see here. Hot rod videos. Would it be in there? No. Chooch her up. Yeah, we're going to chooch her up, boys. Once I find it here. Let's see here. Maybe I can do it this way. Possibly. Cam, tunnel ram, and some headers. You got to love that. So maybe now if I do this, okay, it won't do it. Home tab. Yeah. Man, I don't know. Video file. Let's try this again. Videos. Maybe it's under that. Maybe I have to put it actually under something. Possibly. Let me just go do that right quick. Stick it in a file that I think I'll be able to find here. Video. Yeah, let's stick it in there. Now we'll look. How about that? Share screen. desktop. Video. And it should be in here. But for some reason, it's not in there. Well, I guess you guys are going to have to wait. Anyway, you can hear it. I'll put it out as a short this week, so you guys will be able to see it. So what else is going on? Chooch it up. I love that word. Yeah, I didn't wind it out all the way, Hoppy, but I had her at 5,500 RPM there a couple times, and I'm pretty happy with it. It needs some gear, though. It definitely needs gear. It's like I said, I'm running 345s on it there right now, and that's okay. I mean, it works okay, like if you're on the highway and whatnot, but the transmission has such a high the overdrive is ridiculous. The RPMs drop right down to like 1,500 at 70 miles an hour. So I think I'd be safe to put quite a bit of gear in this thing, which will really help kick it in the ass, getting it off the line. And I still have the overdrive gear, so if I want to get some resemblance of economy or lower RPM operation, I can still get it. Moved a ton of drywall today and then breaking bolts loose, and now my arm hurts. Yeah, buddy, I moved wood up most of the weekend from outside into my storage barn, so I know what you're saying. See, up here in Kanakistan, you got to start moving wood in June and July. You have to get ready for your winter season well in advance, right? So I have finally got my header, and I'm slowly starting to get it back together. Cool, right on, Hop. Make sure you do videos of that. I want to see that for sure. Yeah, more gear. I mean, you can't hurt, right? Like the old adage back in the old days used to be, gear it until they fear it. You know what I mean? So just throw a bunch of gear at it. I mean, I could probably even get away with 436s or something, but 410s I think is going to be the ticket. So what that'll do is when it comes out of the hole, it'll allow me to build RPM quicker. You know what I mean? So that I'll be able to really jam the gears to it. And I'm not worried about breaking that transmission because I've got it strengthened a fair amount. It's where they throw me in that semi-trailer to sweat. I might just say, yeah, no thanks, and take a nap on the belt. Why not, buddy? I've done all kinds of shenanigans like that over the years. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they probably give the dirtiest job to the least senior person. But anyway, so no, I mean, just, this week was working on motorcycles, the same as every week pretty well. Just working on bikes and, like doing my thing, trying to get the Ranger where it needs to be. And I'm pretty happy with it so far. I had a major score on some tools today, boys. I bought a toolbox, like the top section of a big box full of tools. Full of like sockets, 38 millimeter. The largest was 38 mil. A whole pile of wrenches, a whole pile of screwdrivers and adjustable pliers and hammers and just about everything you can possibly imagine. And I got the whole bleeding mess for $300, if you can believe that. The box alone's worth that much money. So I scored big on that. I might even do a video on it, just a little short or something, just to show you guys what. Or take a picture and you do a community post, probably is what I'll do. But if you look in the paper, and if you're like me and you're always looking for some sort of a deal, if you look in the paper on like Facebook Marketplace or whatever, or Kijiji, you guys see my Kijiji minute video, I'm sure. That's exactly how it works here. Probably the same thing with Craigslist, I would imagine, down in the US. But anyway, I didn't want to be that guy, the guy that I'm talking about in my video, that like this guy just fell right off the planet because he says he was going to be there and he wasn't, and I didn't want to be that guy. So I'm trying to set a good example, right, for people when they're buying and selling on Kijiji or wherever, Facebook Marketplace. If you say you're going to be there, unless you're in the hospital. That's what my dad used to tell me. He said, if you say you're going to be there, you be there, or else make sure you're dead or you're in the hospital in traction or something. You have a darn good reason for not being there. But anyway, that seems to have gone by the wayside, I guess, in some circles. Getting a bit of feedback. Maybe I ought to turn my mic down a little bit. It's probably a little bit too high. Let me just have a little looky look here at my audio situation. Mic is pretty high. Echo cancellation is on. Mic volume. Maybe just lower it just a hair. That might help a little bit. You guys can still hear me, I'm sure. Or be exposed to the controller. Yes. But anyway, so it was a major score on like, you don't come across those deals too often, boys, because if something like that shows up online, usually they get like 1,500 calls in the minutes, people saying they'll be there right away. Because I mean, it was probably about, I'd say $1,200 or $1,300 worth of tools for $300. So I mean, everybody and their dog's going to be all over that. And as a matter of fact, I wasn't the first guy to call the guy. There was another fella said he was going to come get them this morning, and he didn't come. So I told the guy that was selling them, I said, go ahead and message me. If he doesn't show up, I'll come over and get him or whatever. So sure enough, I was on my computer this morning having coffee, and I get that notification bell. But he was like, the guy didn't show up. Do you want the tools? And I said, yeah, what's your address? So he was just outside of town here. So I just jumped in my buggy and went down and got him. And it worked out perfect, right? Perfect timing. Sometimes you get the deals, sometimes you don't. It's like buying and selling cars. Like sometimes you'll find a real decent one, and other times there's nothing around, right? But anyway, you can never have enough tools. I picked up a new Blue Point 3/8 impact mini ratchet this week too, because you can never have enough tools, right? And air tools are the handiest thing ever, especially when you're dealing with old stuff and you're trying to break fasteners loose and you got stubborn things that need to be moved, suspension parts. It's nice to have air, before you get drastic and have to heat stuff up, which is, they say, is a no-no on brake or suspension parts. But I have used heat guns on things in the past you weren't supposed to use them on in order to get them apart. But you do whatever you got to do, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Blue Point's good. I got some Blue Point and some Snap-on stuff. I've got Matco tools as well. But I'll tell you, the best tools that I have in my whole box are made by a company called Gray, Graw, and they were up in Canada here back in the 60s, 70s, and probably 80s too. They're fantastic. Like, they're just as good as the old school Snap-on stuff. I got a bunch of those, and I have some Canadian Tire stuff too, Mastercraft, and it serves the purpose. Once upon a time, they used to actually take a socket back or something, or a ratchet if you broke it, because there was a lifetime warranty on their tools. But nowadays, I don't think so. You probably have to jump through 7 colored hula hoops in order to take anything back. So I don't see any reason really to buy the super expensive stuff unless I get a good deal on it. Everything happens for a reason, I always say. Yeah, for sure, man. That's why I never panic when I see if I missed out on a deal or something, because I know there's going to be another one a minute from now or a day from now or whatever, right? Pardon. But yeah, the old girl, she's pretty crisp. I got some Sears stuff, Will. Here's what I have. I have the very first ratcheting style wrenches that Sears made, Craftsman Sears made way back. And oh man, if I had to take a guess, it'd be some like early 90s, right? Like 91 or something. I got the very first set they ever made, very first model. And they work, but the problem is with all ratcheting tools like that, the heads on them are so bloody big that you can't really get in anywhere on anything with them. They tend to be really in the way most of the time, unless it's like on a flat surface or something. But anyway, Yeah, so it's just the way it is, right? So I'm gonna try something here, boys, while I'm talking to you. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yeah, it looks like you probably can. Do, 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 do. Let me just play around here a little bit. Why not? I might be able to actually find that video. Possibly. But again, possibly not. I don't want to accidentally remove the screen here. Oh, I don't know what happened there, but we went into cyberspace or something. Okay, there we are. We're back to normal, I think. I don't know where we went, boys, but we went somewhere. I have some ratchet on each end, different sizes. Yeah, ratchet ones are good, but you can't put a lot of torque on them because the little dinky gear mechanism inside of them doesn't allow for that too much. Yeah, they're thick and like the head gets in the way. Like most of the stuff you and I work on, Hoppy, where like you need like small, tiny little fingers to get in there to get stuff apart, and like there's like you got like a millimeter worth of room in order to get in there to take stuff apart. So you don't really like that stuff doesn't work all that well. Like I said, unless you already have something out, like maybe you have an engine or transmission out of the car, and you can work at it, get at everything. Yeah, I don't know where we went there. We went someplace. I think it was a black hole or something. I don't know where we went into cyberspace there. Oh, so Hoppy, how close are you to firing up your Ranger? You must be getting there. Yeah, so I got the tank back from getting what I needed to get done to it, and I stuck it up in there. I put the straps all on, ratcheted it all up. I didn't have to extend the wires for the sending unit. They fit no problem. I ran a brand new length of fuel line though up to my pump, and I changed the fuel pump bracket around a little bit so that I could have better access to it. Before it was right inside the frame rail, and it was a real nightmare to get at it. Now I have it on a steel plate that's flush with the frame rail, but it's still way up out of the way. There's no way anything's going to come up and strike it or anything like that. So then I ran some new line to it, and then of course they have the deadhead regulator on it, and I had to adjust it. It took a few adjustments to get that thing set properly, but I think I have it there now. So the carburetor's it's got about 6 pounds at all times at it, and even when I'm at full throttle. Nowhere close. Oh, okay. Engine and transmission still separate, sitting on the ground. Oh, that's a bummer. So what are you waiting for? Parts, of course, right? Waiting for some sort of part. And Will, what are your plans for this Pontiac engine? But anyway, yeah. So once I got that together, I fired it up, checked the fuel pressure. I made sure that there was no leaks, and there was. So I was like, oh, okay, it's leaking. I didn't know for sure where. It looked like the accelerator pump diaphragm, which are known on Hollies to leak. So I took the carburetor off, and I looked at the diaphragm, and it looked okay. So I put some gas proof. I got this sealant from Permatex that's gas proof. I put some of that on, and it still didn't fix it. So I was like, shit. So anyway, I took it off again, and then I realized at the very end, after having it off the third time, that on the float bowl on those Hollies, there's these little rubber O-rings that fit right inside, right next to the end of the nut or screw, and they're supposed to seal fuel when you tighten them up. Well, two of those things had deteriorated to the point where they were dripping gas down the float bowl and then making it look like it was coming out of the accelerator pump. So once I went to my Holly trick kit and got 2 new rubbers on there, and then I changed the diaphragm too in the back, put a brand new one on, 30cc. I don't have the 50cc pumps on mine. I don't need it. It was fine after that. So maybe, yeah, shove that 400 in a pickup. That'd be cool. Need flex plate bolts. Then it's go time. Right on. Yeah, that's an area you don't want to chintz out on, Hoppy. Especially with your girl there. You're probably going to be revving that thing to the moon, I would imagine. Get good ones. Want to have a 4x4 passenger car on a truck frame. Ah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, man, there's a million things you could do with that, but it's great that you got a motor and transmission now to play around with and get it all exactly the way you want it. And then when you find whatever it is you want to do, you'll have something ready to go. That makes really good sense from a standpoint. Like this engine I have in the Ranger now, I had it all built and sitting on my engine stand for 3 months before I even put it down into the truck. So that's always nice when that happens, because it cuts down on a lot of grief. 69 Firebird, yeah, 69 Firebirds are cool. They're also very expensive up here. I don't know about where you are, but here that's a very pricey car. Not to mention here, you don't find any of them unless they've been totally restored. You're not going to find a barn find one here because they're just not around. But anyway, yeah, I want to have a lot of things. Yeah, me too, buddy. Yeah, we all have the case of the wants. 67, 68 are cheaper, but still expensive. Yeah, the Firebirds that are really pricey up here are the ones that look like the Burt Reynolds car, like the 77 with the bird on the hood and all that. Those are the ones that tend to be super expensive, I guess, because of that movie. And also the 73 to 75 Formula Firebirds tend to be pretty pricey up here too. There's still a few of those around. I've seen a couple. I saw one in Halifax last year that was pretty nice. But like, again, it probably came from the USA, or the guy obviously put a ton of money and a ton of time into it because it was pretty well mint. But anyway. The ones near you are pretty beat, aren't too expensive. Yeah, but see, you can't even find a beat one here in Nova Scotia because they're all rust buckets. Yeah, also, any of you fellas that are listening to this, if you got mechanical type problems or questions, jump on here. I'll answer them for you, or try to answer them. Not that I know everything, because I don't, boys, but I mean, I've been working at this for a while, right? What did I see this week, Will? It was a pretty cool rig. I saw something. I can't remember what it was. It was yesterday or the day before. But anyway, it was pretty cool. I should have taken a video. I carry a camera around. I should have started rolling some B film. I normally do when I come across this stuff. Yeah, the mullet machine. Yeah. I think that's an IROC Z Camaro, isn't it? Comes with a free mullet and a free set of those shades with the vents on them. I'm just guessing. I could be wrong on that. I was trying to tell a guy that back when the Mustangs come out first, there was that was mullet attire as well. You get a Mustang with a T-top or with a sunroof, you could fly your mullet all day long, right? He's like, no, that's for Camaros. That's a Camaro thing. I don't know, man. I think mullets are pretty universal. The Carb King. Yeah. I don't know. I like carburetors still. As much of a pain in the butt they can be sometimes, I still like them. I also need a 90s Ram single cab. Yeah, you mentioned that. My first truck was a 90s Ram extended cab, and I always just loved that body of truck. Single cab, yeah. You should look around for like a step side box or something, or make your own or something like that. Drop the 400 Pontiac engine down into that puppy. Can be done. Guy was telling me the other day how he put a 318 Dodge engine in the same year Ranger I got. He says it went like the wind. I said, I bet you it ran real good. I said, but the small block Ford will move it. I said, I'm kind of a Ford engine and a Ford truck kind of guy. But anyway, each to their own. I mean, it's whatever you got. If all I had available was whatever engine I got, I'd put it in there. I wouldn't care. I might have to go let my dog out here in a minute. I don't want him to crap on the floor if I can help it. Yeah, it's giving you some ideas, I guess, as it will. There's a million things you can do, buddy. It's about what you wanted. What is it you want to do? Like, get some sort of idea in your head as to what you can afford. First of all, that's always a big thing. And then what it is you want, right? I always wanted a square body Ranger because there's none of them around anymore. And I always liked those little trucks. I never owned one. A friend in high school had a brand new one. And I liked them. His had a 4-banger in it. It was a standard. And we used to drive that thing everywhere. Off-road, on-road, you name it. So I always knew I wanted one, right? 2000 step side bed from it. Yeah, anything will work, man. Provided you have enough time and enough work or enough patience to make it work. A welder would help. Some scrap metal. Use cardboard to make templates. That's what I always do. And then whatever you want to make out of metal, just trace it off your template and cut her out. Get yourself a nice bench grinder. I got one that's on a big tire with a pole and a plate, and my grinder's on one side and the wire wheel on the other, right? And just clean everything up. You could probably get anything to work, to be honest. Just give me a sec, boys. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Oh, well, my first car that I owned and bought with my own money was a 71 Chevelle Malibu. And it had a 307 that was running on 7 cylinders. So it was aptly named. But it was a fun car. I learned a lot of stuff on that. The first car I had access to when I was a young lad, where I grew up, you could get your license at 15. So I had motorcycle license and my car license at 15. I shared a 1981 LTD Ford station wagon, poop brown, with my sister. And the car would work like magic for me. And every time she took it out, it would break down. And I'd be getting phone calls at like 10 o'clock at night for me to come fix it for her so she could get it home. It was an old car. It's just she didn't know anything about them. I don't know what hobbies first. Oh, here we go. Oldsmobile. There you go. The Omega. Yeah, I know the Omegas. They were good. They were good rigs. Can't really say anything bad about the old Oldsmobiles. I gotta close the window. The skeeters are starting to come in here. Man, let me live in Canada. Be drinking and driving by now, just not together. Yeah, because what the legal age here is 19. I don't know what it is in the States. 21, is it? Worked on changing the motor mount for a week. Yeah. Good times, though. Good times. I remember some of those long journeys into automotive wilderness, where at the end of the day, your hands are all bloody because you slipped off the wrench about 13 times. Threw a rod through the block in the first hour. Oh, what a bummer. What a bummer. The friggin' oil pump must have been full of, or the pan full of leaves or something, was it? And front wheel drive version. Yeah, I remember them. A friend of mine had a red one. Well, sort of red, more like a burgundy color. It was quite a machine, if I remember correctly. That sucks. First hour driving it after spending 2 weeks trying to change the motor mount. That's no good. But that's true life. That's true hot rodding right there. I mean, it happens, right? So I'm not too worried about my old girl. I like revving her. She likes to rev. Those small block Fords, you can rev them like a lot further than people think, right? They're pretty tough. Provided you got good oil pressure and the motor's sound, you can rev them. Think about those 289s. They used to scream them things up, zing, zing, zing. You know, like the 327 Chevy, they'd zing those things up to $7,000. Yeah, I mean, you can build an engine for that too. Like if you've got lots of money and you want to rev the thing to the moon, you can definitely build a short block for that. Gotta go. JT is on. Oh, right on, Tom. Well, thanks for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it very much. Pop on anytime. Usually every Sunday night we're on here. Appreciate you, Tom. Thanks. It's only 16 and was devastated. Yeah, I can imagine you would be, buddy. I mean, that would make a person want to cry. You know, like you're hoping to get on the road and like, you know, get actually mobile. Hey, I got my license. You know, I remember the first time when I got my license, trying to beg to get the car, and you know, you just want to get rolling, right? My first truck needed a trans and a crank sensor. Okay, well, that's not so bad. How much did the trans cost you? Did you get like a used one, or did you get it rebuilt or something like that? Just gonna let the hammerhead back in here. I had to get it rebuilt. Okay. Yeah, that can be expensive or not too bad, depending on where you go and what type of transmission it is. All said and done, I put too much into it. That's usually how those things go, Will, especially if it's your first rig. You know, like my Chevelle, I had way too much money into that thing, and it still wasn't what it should have been. And then it needed a power steering pump. Yeah, see, the thing is, too, if it's an older vehicle and it hasn't been on the road in a while, you're going to start seeing the weak spots, because things that are going to need attention, or probably needed attention when they stop driving it, are going to show their head, right? That's why it's best going about it the way you are, although it can be a little more expensive, but not if you get creative, Will. You got yourself an engine transmission, you get that where you want it. Then you look around for the rig you want to put it in, and you find that, and it's what you think it is. And then you like rebuild the power steering pump, and you put some new hoses on it, fix the suspension, and you get it all the way you want it. And then you drop your motor and trans down in there, and then you got something to work with, right? Once you get one running and driving, you got her made, man. I did get an 84 Firebird that looked like Knight Rider after begging for months. Right on. Especially a 90s truck. Sick. Then I crashed it 3 months later during my first winter. Yeah. I've got a few stories I could tell you about winter driving and where I'm from. And I did a few whoops, right, to get my crash course on the tilt-a-whirl, as I call it. Yeah, winter in Canada, and I'm sure in some states in the U.S. is no joke, man. Alberta, when I lived out there, they don't even put salt on the road because it's too cold most of the time. Salt doesn't do anything. So if you're not going to get any salt action. So when you get freezing rain there and heavy winter, cold weather and stuff, oh man, oof. I was going 110K an hour down the highway, and then all of a sudden I was looking southbound, and then I was looking northbound, and then west and eastbound, and I ended up back southbound again. And then I downshifted 2 gears and spun around and kept on going. I drove the rest of the way home. I think it was 80 or something kilometers to get back home. Pretty rough on vehicles the first couple of years of driving. Nothing has changed. It's a hard trait to grow out of. I drive them hard, but I'm not rough on them. Like I try and draw the line. I try and keep things sort of sensible. And I maintain them really good. And that makes a big difference right there, right? Yeah, well, it's even the best of us, Will. It can happen, man. That's why you put roll cages and stuff. You're going fast. And my truck gets quicker and quicker. It'll eventually reach a point where I'll have to put a cage in it. Because I'm just, anytime you're going over 100 miles an hour with it, you're risking your life. And really, only Mexico you should be doing that at anyway, or on a track. So I think the next order of business, once I get the rear end sorted out for my truck, is I want to get a wideband O2 sensor, a good one, in my exhaust stream, and just do some super fine tuning on that thing. I got it to the point now where she'll start without a pump shot. Basically just reach in when it's in neutral, just reach in through the window and hit the key and the thing's running. Yeah, it's not a bad idea to put cage and stuff, right? My buddy Justin Wilson from Skull Garage, he just get done building cages for everything they got. So there's one in Old Bad Penny, the 57 Chevy. He's got one in his 74 Nova. And he's also has one in Colton's race truck, which of course desperately needed that thing. I put oil in every time they're low. So she's hitting some RPMs then, buddy. Well, knock on wood, since I put the PCV valve and the baffles and the higher valve covers in my rig, she hasn't been using any oil anymore. There's none getting on any of the plugs. But I think tomorrow I'll pop the hood and pull all the spark plugs out of her. It's time, especially now that I've done jetting changes and stuff and I've had enough miles on it. I think I should pull the plugs out and do a good read on them and have a look at them and just see what they're trying to tell me. It's never a bad idea, especially on an engine that you're turning some RPM in. It's probably a good plan to pull the plugs once in a while and have a peek, and it'll give you an idea as to what's going on in there. Like I said, you're the king of carbs. No, I'm not, man. Trust me. I can name at least 5 people right now that are better than I am at carburetors. But I do know them, and I like them. I mean, I like carbs, right? Who knows? Maybe next year I'm going to go with that DIS, the distributorless system, and Sniper EFI. It could happen. Never say never. There are advantages to that Sniper EFI kit, because if you go forced induction, it makes things a heck of a lot easier in the tuning department, getting things sorted out, right? Oh, there's carb fanatics. There's definitely a lot of carb fanatics. It's just it's what we're used to, Will. Like when we grew up, there wasn't all this fancy stuff around. That's all you had was a carburetor. Like most of the cars when I was a kid, when I grew up, they had points and condenser ignition in them and a carburetor. There wasn't, like, I think 77 or 78 was the very first time I ever even heard tell of fuel injection. And the early fuel injection systems back then were nothing to write home about. I think GM came up with one of the earliest ones. I think it was in like an 82 or an 83. And they were plagued with problems. Check the plugs and change the jet. See, that's the beautiful part of it, Hoppy. Once you know how to read plugs, you can tell whether you're rich or lean, right? And usually you'll have an idea as to where. But an oxygen sensor will help in that regard. It'll tell you if it's at mid-throttle, a cruise, that you're rich or lean, or at wide open throttle. But what I do is I have a vacuum gauge in the cab too, and when I have the pedal on the floor, I look at my vacuum gauge. It's exactly 0. So what that tells me is that I've got all the atmosphere. I've got 14.7 psi of air pressure getting inside that engine. So I don't have any air restriction in that motor at all. So that's good for power, right? Auto tunes. Yeah, I mean those Sniper EFI kits are sweet. You can basically as you drive, it tunes the thing for you. So if you build, like, let's say you built a pretty hot short block, okay, and you had 10.5 to 1 compression, you had a pretty decent cam in it, blah blah blah, and then you put that Sniper EFI kit on there, and if it's working properly and everything, the sensors are all reading right, you're going to have a well-running engine by the time it gets done doing its self-tune, right? 57 Corvette, yeah, it did have fuel injection. You're right. That'd be probably one of the earliest ones that I can think of. But of course, there wasn't very many 57 Corvettes around my neck of the woods. You'd be lucky to even see a late 70s or mid to late 70s Corvette. But in any case, yeah, they did have them. I mean, the Germans had fuel injection back in 1938 or 37 when the Bf 109 fighter jet or fighter plane was developed. They had a Bosch fuel injection system for that airplane back then, and I think the Japanese were even playing around with that back in the 40s, early 50s. My dad had it on his 56 Vet off of a 62. Yeah, right on. I guess a lot of guys did do those conversions, way back when. They did a fuel injection conversion. Lucky to see the first Corvette. Yeah, I've seen pictures. I've never actually seen a very first year Corvette. My favorite is the 63 because of the split window right on the back. I think it's probably one of the more highly prized ones. I did see with my own 2 eyes, though, a 67 Corvette Stingray that came into the garage when I was a teenager pumping gas at the Shell service station. It had a 427 tri-power. I think it was 435 horsepower. And I was just drooling when that thing came in. It had side pipes. You should have heard the thing. And then he laid about 35, 40 feet of rubber and then shifted into high gear. It was awesome. I still remember seeing it. It was a silver color, a really nice silver. So I mean, I'm not prejudiced. I'm not just a Ford guy. I mean, I appreciate all cars really. If you're like you guys know my theory. If you're into it and it's your thing and you're working on it, it's cool. To me, it's cool. I don't care if it's Chevrolet, Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference. Even if it's a four banger that doesn't matter. It's the fact that you're doing something with it. That's where the cool part comes in. I love a split window. Yeah, me too. 63 split window was a cool vet. Sounded like a supercharger. Yeah. There was a few when I was growing up, there was a few pro street cars around. I can remember one right now. It was an early Firebird actually. It had a tubbed rear end, big tires on the back. And I think they were 14 inches wide if I remember. And it had a 6 to 7. Man, that thing meant business, I'll tell you what. You could hear it about 3 blocks away coming down the street. And he used to, just for fun, he'd jump on it and he'd just spin him for a second. And he'd just jump on it and jump on it and jump on it and make it hop down the road, right? I was well, but you don't see too much of that anymore. I like drivability and split windows hard to see through. Yeah, but it's just the rear window that's split. I mean, those Corvettes didn't have that great of side vision anyway, I don't think. Yeah, no matter what you do, as long as you do it, I applaud you. Absolutely, man. 100%. I mean, I don't care. I don't care if it's like a guy driving a Buick Regal with a 305 in it, or I don't care what it is. As long as he's getting dirty with the rest of us and doing something with the car, that's cool. I think that's awesome. And Danny actually had a split window vet. Yeah, they're pretty rare. And you do find them, they're expensive. And they become even more expensive since people started watching Barrett Jackson, which has been a curse to poor people, because people watch that and they think that their car is now worth $138,000. But what they don't realize is that car that sold for that money was probably like one of 49 or something, some super rare submodel of that type of car, right? Not always, but probably some of the time. Yeah, I just remember that 67 that I saw, and that thing would, man, she'd chooch. There you go, Hoppy. She'd chooch, buddy. That thing there, and I don't know what transmission was in it, but it was a standard, and he was shifting it hard, and man, would that thing ever rock and roll. And sound, whew. I don't know. I don't think you had any mufflers in those side pipes. There was no, if there was glass packing in them, it had burned out. Because when you get up in the RPMs, boy, she'd rumble. Yeah, they probably did. That's probably very true. Unfortunately, nowadays that makes the car not rare at all. Probably it probably wrecked that rare car. You might be able to go back and redo it, but yeah, the split window was pretty unique. If you go on YouTube, they have just type in Corvette 63 Corvette split window assembly line. They've got like these Rose classic black and white or colored videos showing those cars going down the assembly line in Dearborn and Detroit and stuff, right? Getting made. I love watching all those old shows. I even go back into the 20s and 30s when they're building cars on the line. And I love, it's just, I like that type of thing, right? Watching that. I'm a big black and white video movie kind of guy. I watch all kinds of movies from the 40s and the 30s and 50s. And I like that kind of thing, right? Stuff was cool back then. I don't know what it is about that era, but there was no junk around. Hardly anything was garbagey. It was all way overbuilt, right? are the same guys that went to World War II, and then they come back and build cars that you'd shut the door and the thing will go clunk, because there's like so much metal in there, right? And not like today, the pop cans we have nowadays, right? Shit, you could probably poke a hole in the body of one of these modern cars with the lawnmower. If you got away from you and hit the side of the car, I'd probably put a hole in it. Back then, you could shoot a car probably and it wouldn't do that much damage to it. But anyway, boys, probably going to wrap it up here. Thanks for coming on. Nice to see you fellas, as always. I look forward to these streams. I'd like to know what's going on with your projects and whatnot. If you get a chance, shoot some video. Like I said, take a camera with you. Most of you guys have these new modern phones, so they take tremendous video. I know that. So take pictures of anything cool and send it my way, would you? The Model A videos being built is cool. Yeah, I seen that one. And cars nowadays are meant to squeeze to keep you safe. Yes, they are. They actually are made to crumple to take some of the energy from the hit away from things, right? But anyway, thanks for coming on, boys. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week, next Sunday. Things go right. And look for my videos this week. I'll have something coming out. And I'll queue up that video of the Ranger in Mexico there. It's only a minute long, I think, or whatever it is, but it's interesting. I've got the video too of me putting the gas tank in and some other stuff. So we'll see what goes on. But until then, boys, thumbs up for War Amp. Stay classy, of course. We'll see you all later.